Hello everyone, this is Prashant from Informatica Global Customer Support. In this video, we are going to talk about deployments between repositories of different domains using deploy deployment group command. In the earlier video, that is the part 1, we have discussed about deployments between repositories under the same domain. The agenda of the video is to make you understand on how PMREP commands work when deploying objects between repositories of different domains. We're gonna also discuss the use of domains.infa file during the deployment, and we would be also discussing when to use hyphen h hyphen o or hyphen d in the pmrep commands. So ideally, you must be aware that we can do the deployment either from the Power Center client application or using the pmrep commands, that is the deploy deployment group. So in this video, we are going to discuss only about deploy deployment group command, and also we are going to discuss in specific to repositories, deployment between repositories of different domains. For instance, consider the user has to deploy an object from domain ABC to domain DEF respectively. So this can be actually done in two ways. That is connecting to the source repository from the source domain and perform the deploy deployment group command. The second way is to connect to the source repository from the target domain and perform deploy deployment group command. So what I'm trying to say is, for the deployment to take place, first we have to connect to the source repository from either of the domain servers, and we need to run the deploy deployment group command where the target repository details are provided as well. So considering the scenario 1, that is connecting to source repository from the source domain. So you just need to log into your ABC domain, that is your source domain server, and you need to run the pmrep connect command using hyphen r and hyphen d, and along with your user and password. So here we are using hyphen d. There is also an option called hyphen h and hyphen o, that is host name and the port number. So we need to identify, or we need to understand the difference when to use hyphen d and when to use hyphen h and hyphen o. So we are actually providing the domain name directly over here in this command, because whenever you run the pmrep connect command, right, you the application actually sees the domains.infa file under infa home, and there you can see the domain details, that is your domain name and the host name, the port number, where the node actually resides. So when you directly provide hyphen d, it actually checks your domains.infa file, and it reads the host name and the node port where it has to connect to. So as we are directly connecting to the source repository from the source domain server, and that that domains.infa file is actually having the domain details, so we can directly use hyphen d. So coming to the scenario 2, so connecting to the source repository from the target domain, that is from DEF domain server. So we need to again, here you can see a slight difference between the connect commands that we have used earlier in the scenario 1 and in the scenario 2. We used hyphen h and hyphen o here. So why we used hyphen h and hyphen o instead of hyphen d? That is one thing that already we have discussed. I can, we can. So why we used hyphen h and hyphen o is that your domain, your DEF domain server, that is your target domain server, also has infa home and the domains.infa file. So this domains.infa file residing under the target domain, it will not have the information of your source domains server, that is your source domain server name, I mean the host name and the port where the service manager is running on. So when you connect to the source repository for the first time from your target domain server, it is definite that you need to provide the host name along with the node port. I mean hyphen O. So after you successfully connect to your source repository from your target domain, the domains.infa file actually gets updated with the domain details of your source domain, so that whenever you try to connect again, you can directly use hyphen D instead of hyphen H and hyphen O. So that's the difference where when we need to use hyphen H and hyphen O. So the reason why we are trying to discuss this difference is, most of the time we tend to use hyphen D, and we are unable to connect to your source repository. um, the uh, the reason behind is this information, that is the domains.infa file is not actually having the domain details of the domain you are trying to, of the repository service and the domain you are trying to connect to. So till now we have actually discussed on how to connecting to the source repository from either the source domain server or the target domain server. So the next step that we need to follow is the obviously the deploy deployment group command, where it actually performs a deployment. You can say the code object migration between your source and the target repository service. So here you can see we have just provided the control file. So this control file we'll discuss again in some other video, or you might find some videos already in the Informatica support. So yeah, just as a basic control file is, as the name suggests, it controls how the deployment is being performed from your source repository and to the target repository. So here in this command, for the scenario one, we have used um, the target RS name, I mean the repository service name, along with hyphen H and hyphen O instead of using hyphen D. So as I said, right, when we are trying to connect to anything for the first time, uh, which is external to your own domain. So we might not be having the domain details, host name and everything under the domains.infa file. So that's the reason we are using hyphen H and hyphen O, because we are connecting to an external domain, right? So and one more thing you just need to keep in mind is that where when you provide the host name, you need to specify the exact host name from that you can get from infahome domains.infa file under the DEF server, that is your target domain server. Yeah, this thing you need to keep in mind. Whether if it's a fully qualified host name, then you need to provide the exact one. If it's a short name, then you need to provide that one. So there were some inconsistencies, or you can say in connection. So that's the reason why you need to provide the exact host name. So in case you followed the scenario two, that is connecting to the source repository from your target domain server, and for the deployment group, you are actually performing this. That means you are trying to connect your target repository from the target domain server itself. So the domains.infa file under your target domain server will be obviously having the details of like your domain name, host name, etc. So that's the reason why we are directly using hyphen D instead of hyphen H and hyphen O. So all this discussion might be a little confusing. So in order to resolve our confusion, we can just have a moment in the next slide to look in and understand things better. So I just logged into my Linux server boxes. So let us just consider that
the Vento is our source domain, and IMPC 104 is our target domain. So our goal is to deploy the objects from the repository service residing under Vento to the repository service residing under INPC 104. So let us consider the scenario one, that is connecting to the source repository service from the source domain server itself, that is from the Vento. So I just logged into my Linux box, where you can see we have two tabs open. So one is my source domain server, that is Vento, and other one is my target domain server, that is INPC 104. So we'll just use these two for achieving our goal of migrating the objects from our source repository under the Vento to the source to the target repository under INPC 104. So considering before performing the commands, we'll just see one file that we have discussed, that is the domains.infa file. So it will be present under our infa home. So here we can already see the domain name, host name, and port number, and this is the place where our source repository resides. So we can directly use hyphen d instead of hyphen h and hyphen o. So let us just execute the command that we have in order to connect to the repository service. So for that you need to go to the server bin. Okay, this is the command that we need to execute. Okay, we have connected to the source repository service successfully. Now we have to run the deploy deployment group command. So we have two variations here, that is using hyphen d and hyphen h. So as I mentioned earlier, right, we are not having the these domain details under our domains.infa file. So we just need to execute using hyphen h and hyphen o. If we use hyphen d, it will obviously fail. Yeah, fail to execute the deployment group because it's not able to connect your target RS. So let us use hyphen h and hyphen o in order to perform the deployment. So we can see that the deploy has completed successfully, and it will be logged in the deploy.txt file. So this is the scenario one, and these are the commands that we need to execute um, every time you want to use the scenario one. And okay, when to use hyphen d uh, uh, and how to update the domains.txt file to have the information of domains dot to have the information of the target domain. We just need to run the pmrep connect command in order to connect your target repository service, so that we'll have those details updated in the domains.info file. So let me just show you that as well. And so hyphen connect is let's see, I think I can get it from here. Okay, I have to provide the host name. So we have connected to the repository target repository service using hyphen H and hyphen O, and let us just see the details of domains.infa file. Okay, so now you can see it has been updated with the domain details of our target domain server. So you can see this right from probably here, here. Yeah, it is directly from here. You can just see the last line has been updated with the domain details of our target domain. So whenever and the next time whenever you are executing this command, you can directly use hyphen d. So I already have the command. Let me just run it. Okay, let me go to server bin, and so you can see it has not failed like before. Anyways, it would be taking time. So okay, it has failed. So why it is? So let us see if there is anything logged in the deploy.txt file. Okay, I think the reason why it has failed is because we are not connected to the source repository, we are connected to the target repository. So that is why. So the error log is a bit confusing, but that's the reason. So let us just connect to our source repository again. Okay, now let us run this command using hyphen d. So you can see the deployment has been completed successfully, and yeah, so you can use hyphen d as I said. So for the pmrep connect commands, or whenever you are using, right, whenever you provide hyphen h, that is a host name, as I mentioned earlier, you need to get the exact host name from your respective domain server. That means I just grab this host name from my inpc 104 domains.infa file. So you can just copy this and paste it in the commands that you are using. So the reason why I'm stressing that we need to use the exact host name is because there would be again a failure of the deployment if the exact host name details are not provided. So that is the scenario one, and obviously the scenario two, you connecting to the source repository service from the target domain. So for that, you just need to use the commands again that we have already having. So let us just go to the server bin and execute connecting to the RS. Okay, it has been connected to the source domain successfully from the target domain. We can also see the domains.infa file getting updated with our host name and details and everything. So whenever you connect to the next time, you need not use hyphen H and hyphen O. So the next step is to run the deploy deployment group command. Okay, let me clear this up. Sorry for that. Okay, this is the command that we are using to deploy, and we can see we just provided the hyphen d because we are already having the domain details in the domains.infa file. Yeah. Okay, one more option is I did not provide hyphen l, so it should obviously log everything under on the inline. So it shows it has already tried starting copying, so that also means it has connected to our source repository and performing the deployment. Okay, let us just cancel this. So now that we have understood uh, why to use hyphen d and why to when to when to use hyphen d and when to use hyphen h. So yeah, that is it for the demo. We'll just go back to the slide and we'll just summarize. So as a summary, we have just discussed the deployments, the two types of deployments between the repositories of different domains, that is connecting to source repository from source domain and connecting to source repository from the target domain. And also for deploying the objects between the repositories within the same domain, we can actually use hyphen d everywhere. So you can simply use hyphen d in both pmrep connect command and pmrep deploy deployment command, because it is just we are doing the deployment within the same domain. So it is all obviously having the domain information in the domains.infa file. So that's it. And yeah, we also discussed about the main part, that is hyphen using hyphen h and hyphen o and hyphen d. So why the whole video is was stressed on using those hyphen h and hyphen d is that you must have observed that when we used hyphen d for the first time, we did not get any information except it's just told uh, just one line error, that is failed to execute the deployment group, and we did not get any much information on how to debug this. So yeah, you need to understand the background behind it, why it has failed. So that's it for the video, and we would love to hear from you from at supportvideos@informatica.com, and we're also available under the Twitter for the page Infa Support. So thank you for your time watching this video. Have a nice day.